All right, everybody, we're going to talk about the H102 reticle. The H102 reticle is designed from the entry-level rifleman to the advanced sniper. This reticle has the most features of any of the Horus reticles. So we're going to go through the features, how to use it, and why this is one of my personal favorite reticles that Horus makes. So we're going to start off with the ghost rings that are here. All right, we've got pretty much, almost a complete circle right here, heavy duplex lines right here, and another ghost ring right here. These heavier lines that Horus uses are designed to draw your eye to the center of the reticle. So even if you're bringing the gun up quickly, you're still able to center your eye, get your crosshairs on the target, and press the trigger in a quick manner. Now, if we look right here above the horizontal crosshair, we've got some quite large numbers that go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the left. Those are indicators for moving targets in increments of 10. 1 would be a 10-mile-an-hour target, 2 would be a 20-mile-an-hour target, 3, 30, 4, 40, 5, 50, 6, 60-mile-an-hour target to the right or left. Now, below that, we have just standard mill increments that mill all the way out to the left and right for the entirety of the reticle. When we look at the vertical reticle, we have hold points above the crosshairs, and we have hold points right down here with a mill grid on the Horus grid that goes down to 40 mils. Now this Horus grid, like most other Horus grids, is calibrated in USMC mils. The larger hash marks indicate 1 mil increments, both horizontally and vertically as they go down. And the smaller hash marks denote 0.2 mil increments all the way down and all the way across. In between the mil grid, there is a series of little plus signs that are in there. The plus signs grids are separated vertically and horizontally at 1 mil, but they are overlaid from the mil grid, the Horus grid, at a half mil separation. So between the hash marks, you'll see a small plus sign, which denotes a half mil in between them. So you have an exact hold point between the full hash marks. So even with an unobstructed view, you could still have an exact hold point on your intended target before you press the trigger. Moving outside, we've got the windage indicators. Represents a 20-mile-per-hour wind, either to the right or to the left. The inboard one represents a 10-mile-per-hour wind, either to the right or to the left. Now, let's say you have a 5-mile-per-hour wind. All you would do was simply get your elevation hold, place the intended target between the 10-mile-per-hour wind marker and the vertical crosshair, and press the trigger. If it's a 15-mile-per-hour wind, we would bisect between the 20-mile-per-hour wind marker and the 10-mile-per-hour wind marker, hold in the middle on the intended target, and press the trigger. Moving outside of the Horus grid, we have the inverted L over here. The inverted L is calibrated in shooter minutes of angle. So each shooter minute of angle equals exactly 1 inch at 100 yards. We note it in measurements of 5, 10, 15, and 20. So if we have a target of known size, we could bracket that within the inverted L, figure out how far that target is. For example, if it's a deer with a 20-inch rack, at 100 yards, the rack will range from here to here. At 200 yards, it will be from 10 to 0. It'll bracket within that. 400 yards, it'll be from 5 to 0. 800 yards, it'll be right at 2.5 to 0. Then we can get our appropriate hold for elevation without manipulating any of the turrets on our scope, get a quick target acquisition, and engage. Right here with the internal ghost ring, it marks horizontally for a 4-mile-per-hour moving target. The duplex point that stops just outside of the ghost ring to the left and to the right indicates a 5-mile-per-hour moving target. In here, we have these ovals that are designated for certain size targets at distance that we can get our holds from 300, 400, 500, 600, out to 700 yards. So if that target fits within there, we can press the trigger and get a hit at that distance. These are pretty much calibrated, those speed dots, for 308s, 30-06s, those type of calibers. But you don't have to use them. So if you're shooting a different caliber, this grid is non-caliber specific. So using the Horus grid in these hold points, we're always going to be able to get that second round correction. So when we put the target on the crosshairs, we press the trigger, and our point of impact is different than our point of aim. We use the reticle, keeping the dot of the center of the crosshair on the intended target, looking where the impact was, taking that impact point that was on the grid, and that new impact point that was on the grid, we now shift to put on the target, send that second shot correction. This is a very fast system, and it's designed to grow with you as a shooter. In addition to the traditional H102 reticle, we have some of the optimized variants. We'll start off with the H102 Alpha. The H102 Alpha has everything that the H102 has, except up here, it's got our speed mil range estimating formula, going from 1 mil, 0.9, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, 0.5 mils. These ovals are in here to indicate the size of a 12-inch target. Okay, on the H102B, H102 Bravo, it's very similar to the H102 Alpha. Let me explain how to use them. So right up here we have the mil range estimator, going from 1 mil down to 0.9, 8, 7, 6, 0.5, moving down there. Horus also has this mil range estimator that's available online to download. You can laminate it, tape it to the inside of your stock so you know your holds. So whether it's a 12-inch, 18-inch, or 24-inch intended target, you'll be able to bracket it in here, get the appropriate distance, then get the appropriate hold point on your reticle to press the trigger and get a first round shot. All this without the use of a laser rangefinder. So it's a pretty big deal, and it's a real useful factor if you take advantage of it. So with this inverted L, they'll be in different positions, but these are all in shooter minutes of angle. So a shooter minute of angle equals exactly 1 inch at 100 yards. So if I measure my target, and if I know my target's 20 inches and it only measures 10 shooter minutes of angle, I take the 20-inch from the known width of the target, multiply it times 100, then I divide by the 10 shooter minutes of angle that I ranged it with, and it gives me that it's at 200 yards. If I'm doing this vertically, it's the same thing. So if this target right here is 40 inches, so if I can't, it's dark out, I can maybe just see the whole hog as a general, from its feet to its back, 40 inches, roughly, depending on where you're hunting. But if it's 40 inches, I take that 40 inches of the known size, multiply it by 100, and I divide it by the units shooter minutes of angle that I measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 4,000, 40 times 100, divided by 8 equals 500 yards. So I know that hog is 500 yards away. I apply the appropriate hold in my Horus reticle, press the trigger, I'm going to get a hit. Also, with the mil ranging estimator, if I want to go vertically, we have put these subtensions above 1 mil, 2 mils above the horizontal crosshair. That way your eye can freely look at that and you're not going to get perplexed by anything beneath there. It's going to be very clean, and you could range to a fine amount within 0.2 mil increment, and if it falls in half of that, then you could round it to 0.1. So you could come in here, measure, go all the way from 1 to 0 right here, all the way down to 0.2. This only goes to 0.5, so we can go much finer than the speed formula up here that we use for the 12-inch drill. So the big takeaway is, if you know the different sizes of your intended target, you can use your Horus Vision reticle to bracket that, and whether you're shooting using the mil speed formula or the shooter minute of angle inverted L speed formula, you could plug those numbers in there, do very simple, very quick math, and get the distance to your shot. apply the appropriate hold on the reticle based on what ammunition you're running in the climate, press the trigger, get a hit. It's that simple.